Hello everyone and welcome back to Alireza's Race to the Candidates tournament. He already defeated 4 very strong opponents, or rather 2 opponents but 2 games each, and now 1 remains. Strong Ukrainian Grandmaster Sergey Fedorchuk rated 2546, but some 13 years ago he was almost 2700, so he is a very strong opponent to force 2 wins upon. As Anish also mentioned on the Twitter, I said that Alireza could have chosen maybe some lighter opposition, but you have to win them all. And if he wins this with the black pieces, he will overtake Wesley so in the live ratings, which means that he can even abandon playing game 6 at all, but I guess most likely he will play it. But let's see what happened in this one, and then we are going to discuss all of the possibilities. So here, Sergey has the white pieces, and he opens not that. He plays pawn to e4. We have pawn to c5. Alireza goes for the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, d6, and d4. The open Sicilian captures. We have knight f6, knight to c3, and a6. The Najdorf Sicilian, the most fighting Sicilian, if you will. And h3. This is the Adams attack. And for those of you who have been following my rapid leeches games, I've been using it there, and with some very good success. We have pawn to e5, challenging the knight, knight d to e2, and now pawn to h5. This is the move I hated the most when I play with the white pieces, because if black doesn't play this, then once you advance those pawns to g5, well, all depends on how you do it, but yeah, if you get g4, g5 in, it can be a very nasty position for black to play. But it's still perfectly fine. So g3 here, preparing to fianchetto the light square bishop, bishop to e7, and now bishop to g2 is by far the most common move here. Bishop to e3 is what Sergey plays, and now there are a couple of games where knight b to d7 was played, but here pawn to b5 is a new move, so already as of move 9 we have a completely new game. And Sergey already goes for a very nasty idea, and that is knight to d5. It's a beautiful square for the knight, and it seems like he's blundering a pawn here, but not really. If you capture this pawn, then you can go for something like bishop b6, attack the queen, and also knight c7 to win the rook, or you don't even have to do that. You can just counter it with bishop to g2, and this is game over for black. To give you an example, even if you play f5, there's knight c3, and even if you trade here, let's say captures and captures, and close the position with e4, there's this very nasty queen to d5, and you cannot save the rook. So also one of the nice ideas on white to put the bishop on e3. So here knight b to d7, and now knight e to c3. We have bishop to b7, and now bishop to g2. Rook to c8, nicely developing, and now pawn to a4, as the knight on d5 controls the b4 square, so you don't have to worry about b4. So knight captures on d5, we have knight captures, bishop captures, and now queen captures on d5, trying to offer the c2 pawn for the b5 pawn, but that would be better for white, as you also have the a file to lift your rook. So here pawn to b4, but Alireza b captures on a4, the engine really likes, but it's sort of a move that you don't really play as a human. b4 has the downfall of if white finds bishop to f1, which is such a non-human move to play, because you've already fianchettoed, you are preparing the castle, but just to show you, as the engine really loves it, bishop to f1 puts pressure on the a6 pawn, and you can't just give it up, because then white starts advancing the pawn. If you defend it with something like a5, which is really bad, you should just give it up. The engine says that that's the best thing to do. But if you defend it, then look at this, queenside castles, and now your a4 pawn and these 2 pawns are creating a beautiful shield towards the white king, and the black will not be able to attack, whereas white will have all the time in the world to start pushing in the center and on the king side. Let's say castles and bishop to b5. This just cements your setup here, and it's a really, really strong setup for white. But okay, here castles by Fedorchuk, and now pawn to a5. This is of course now a possibility, and it's not a problem since white castled kingside. Pawn to c3, and now b captures on c3. B captures, also offering the pawn on c3, but Alireza doesn't want to waste time. If you capture it, then you allow white to develop. So here pawn to h4 right away, starting an attack against the white king. Pawn to c4, defending the pawn, and now we have castles king side. We have rook f to b1, and now bishop to g5. Alireza offers a trade of bishops, and also he would like to get his queen into the game, even at the cost of the d6 pawn. And it's it's hard not to take this pawn. So here bishop captures on g5, queen captures, and just queen captures on d6. Now Sergey creates a passed pawn here, and if he can start pushing it, it's going to be very good for him. So here, knight to c5, of course, stopping the pushing, and also preparing to remaneuver the knight to e6, then to d4, and then maybe to f3 or e2, all depending on how Sergey places his pieces. And here, okay, h captures and g3 is coming, so you have to play g captures and h4. We have queen sorry, not queen captures, queen to f4 now. If you capture, then you also give up the e5 pawn, and then it could be a little bit tricky. So here, rook to b5. That's the main move, and it seems like Alireza can just capture on e4, but this would sort of unwind into a draw. For example, bishop captures, queen captures here, queen captures on e5, queen captures on h4, and now queen to g3. White defends against everything, and it's not a problem. You don't have something like rook to c6 to maybe get the rook into the game as the queen is hanging. But even if it wasn't, of course, it's possible for white to just get the rook into the defense. And here, if let's say some captures happen, rook captures on c4, queen captures on h4, rook captures on a5, rook captures on h3, it's equal material, dead draw. So after rook b5, rook f to d8 was played. Alireza brings the rook into the game and also keeps the game alive. Queen to e7, and now knight to e6, trying to get that knight to d4. So rook to d5, stopping that. Now if you play knight d4, of course the rook here is undefended. So rook to e8, chasing the queen back, and now queen all the way back to a3. And the best thing to do here is to put the queen on d6, because this prevents knight to d4 with a tactic. If you try knight to d4 here, just rook captures, and that's going to be an issue. But queen to a3 was played. He wants to get the queen into to g3 or f3 to help out with the defense. But now Alireza can play knight to d4. But interestingly, he doesn't. He goes for rook captures on c4. And okay, he is getting very low on time. He has 11 minutes on the clock. Sergey has 17 minutes. We have queen to g3, and on this queen to g3 move, Sergey spent pretty much all of his time. He's now down to 5 minutes on the clock, and we are only still at move 28. So rook to c1 with check. Of course, Alireza wants to keep the queens on the board for the moment, but not if queen captures and f4 happens. Then he's happy to trade queens. So here we have rook to d1, stopping check, rook to c2, and now rook 8 to b1. Again, if you trade, this is a better endgame for black, as you have 3 pawn islands. Also, the h-pawn is doubled. The bishop isn't all that impressive here. So instead, after rook to c2, rook 8 to b1 was played, and now rook e to c8. Alireza doubles up on the c file. Queen captures on f4, going for the queen trade. Knight captures on f4, and now comes a position where Anish even put it on Twitter, and he said that with bishop to f1, white is playing excellent chess, dominating the knight very nicely from f1, controlling all of these squares. But instead, Sergey went too quickly for the pawn. He played rook to b5, and it seems like there's nothing wrong with this move, but there is actually something very wrong with this move. You tell me what. Feel free to pause the video and win the game for Alireza while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting the fork and the fork. Those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight to e2 with check. Of course, getting to c3 with tempo is key, and that's just it. Sergey blundered the exchange. We have king to h2, and now knight to c3. With 2 minutes on the clock, anything is possible. Rook to a1 was played, but now Alireza is just up too much on material. Knight captures on b5, a captures on b5, and now rook captures on f2. We have king to g3, and now rook back to b2, and that's pretty much it. Rook captures on a5 was played. Yes, you do have a passed pawn, but now just rook to c3 with check, and he was in this position on move 37 that Sergey Fedorchuk resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. You either move the king and then you lose the bishop, or you go here and then a double attack on the bishop ends the game. You will take the bishop, and you are up a full rook then. So yeah, very nicely done by Alireza. Fedorchuk really held his own in there, but he spent too much time in a critical situation, and he just missed a beautiful fork there. So that means Alireza now has farmed enough points to overtake Wesley in the live ratings. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. These are the live ratings now. You can see that Alireza overtakes Wesley. He's on 2758.9, and Wesley's on 2757.4. and that means that if nothing changes, then it will be Alireza Firouzja who will qualify for the candidates tournament via the rating criteria, and by if nothing changes, I mean if he doesn't play a game, maybe tomorrow's game does not get played, even though I personally think it will. But also FIDE said that they will look into things and that they will inspect if everything was in order for this tournament, and will they rate it for the January rating list or not. So I've listened to some discussion on Twitter by some arbiters, and by the looks of it, there doesn't seem to be anything why it wouldn't be rated. So if nothing changes, Alireza does qualify for the candidates tournament via the rating place. If Wesley does not start farming before New Year's, which is also possible, but as Wesley was so much against that, I doubt that he will try something like that. So yeah, we'll see if Game 6 even happens, and if it happens or not, we'll see if FIDE will have anything to say about this. But for now, it does seem like Alireza and Gukesh have qualified for the FIDE candidates tournament. It still also could change, so we'll see. I'll keep you updated. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and a little bit of extra info about the candidates tournament. I would like to thank Kenneth Few, John Dugdale, Ivan Sterling, Nikola Vucic, and Maximo Icerin for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.